St. Catharines Regional Councillor Sandy Bellows lost her battle with cancer last October. Her passing left an empty seat on Regional Council. Having finished 8th in the 2018 municipal election, Mike Britton was certain he was in line to be appointed to Sandy's seat for the remainder of the current term. But Council voted down that move and instead decided to put forth Matt Cisco's name. Mike joins us now. Mike, I imagine you were watching that meeting. How would you describe your feeling when Council decided to not follow the city's policy?
Yeah, Mike, I'm feeling a lot like a lot of the people of the city of St. Catharines who are writing me and telling me simply that they're outraged. They can't believe what happened, that the will of the people was disrespected in the way that it was. And I share their frustrations. They're tired of some of the backroom deals that have gone on. They're tired of the power plays and bullying, and they're just tired of personal political agendas being put forward before the will of the people and what is right. So yeah, I can say I agree.
Besides desiring to fill this seat, you were also hoping to fill the seat of someone that you greatly admired and worked quite well with when you were on council.
Yeah, so Sandy Bellows, she was a family friend. My mom and her went to high school actually together at Grantham High School, and so we've known the family since before I was born. Of course, I was a supporter of hers in her provincial campaign. I helped run that. I got to know her kids very well in that time, and yeah, Sandy was a close friend, and it was obviously a big loss when this happened, and I was hoping that, I was hoping to try and fill her shoes when the time came. So yeah, it was a disappointment for sure, and a very unfortunate situation.
Your anger, your consternation with this led you to contact a lawyer. Why not just wait the 9 months or so until the next election and try and win the seat that way?
Well, first off, it was the decision by St. Catharines City Council was just a recommendation, right? It was the region who made the final call. So when I saw what happened at St. Catharines Council, I wanted to make sure that things were done properly going forward, because I don't feel, and many people contacted me saying they didn't feel that what happened at St. Catharines was right. So I contacted a lawyer to make sure that the policies were followed and things were done properly, because we don't believe, many people don't believe that they were. And so that's where the lawyer came in to make the argument for Regional Council to correct the wrong that St. Catharines Council did. So that was the impetus for contacting the lawyer.
Mike, at that meeting, they voted 23-6 to support St. Catharines' recommendation, but many of the people who did vote for it used the term reluctantly before voicing their vote. How did that make you feel?
Yes, for sure. The narrative that happened at Regional Council was essentially St. Catharines did something wrong, but is it our job as a regional council to fix that? Do we do that? And I would submit to you that yes, it is their job. Their job is not just the legalities of things, it's also what's ethically and morally right. And in my opinion, in the view of the lawyer and the view of some residents that spoke, and the many people who signed a petition and wrote letters to Regional Council, they said you should fix the wrong that happened at St. Catharines, and unfortunately that did not happen.
Are you still working with that lawyer to look at other options as we move forward towards this next election?
Yeah, so at this point, a number of people, residents, have contacted me, those who have said they're outraged, and they've told me that they've submitted complaints to the Integrity Commissioner as far as code of conduct violations. They've submitted municipal conflict of interest complaints against Councillor Cisco and Mayor Senzik, and they've submitted ombudsman complaints about various breaking of policies and in-camera meeting problems and things of that nature. So at this point, yes, I still have the lawyer retained, but I'm looking to follow those investigations very closely to see what happens, what the turnout is, and see if things can be corrected.
When I look at some of the comments during the decision at Regional Council and at St. Catharines Council, a lot of the comments that I heard were about the fact that Matt Cisco's been involved. He's served a number of terms. He's been involved over these last 22 months or so, working with the demands that COVID and the pandemic have put on our elected officials. But you also bring a lot of experience. You do bring a term on council as far as your experience if you were in this seat.
Yeah, and more than just my term on council, I mean, yes, that is great experience. I know the policies and municipal act and things like that, but I have not been idle during this pandemic. I don't need to sit here and list what I've done, but just in December, I was handing out checks from my Rotary Club to various groups like the St. George's Breakfast Program, the Ozanam Center, and I was engaging with the people who are really on the front lines of trying to deal with the ramifications of this pandemic, dealing with our most vulnerable. And I heard from them some of the problems and some of the supports that they need. And so I would say that my experience with my Legion, with my Rotary Club, whether it's Links for Greener Learning or Crime Stoppers, the boards that I sit on, I feel like I am, I'll say, just as qualified or able to step in and provide a voice for the people. And I'm disappointed that opportunity did not happen.
The city did have a policy that you expected them to follow. If they're not following that policy this year, should that policy be reopened?
Yeah, well, so the policy is interesting. As Councillor Kushner explained at the city council meeting, it really was just codifying the past 20 plus years of precedents. This is something that, I mean, just follows logical democratic principles that the person with the next most votes gets to fill a vacancy. And Councillor Kushner explained this policy was put in place to stop cronyism, to stop nepotism, to stop favoritism, and to really respect, I believe, the will of the electorate, to respect the will of the people. And so this policy has served council well. I think that it's a good policy. It was voted on by a majority of those who are sitting around council now and approved by them. And so, no, I think that it is a good policy, and it's interesting that it was not followed in this case. At next week's city council meeting, they'll be voting again to decide whether to follow that policy, because that policy was not, turned down in any way. It was simply just ignored. So it'll be interesting to see if they follow it in the case of the vacancy now on St. Catharines City Council.
If this decision is not changed, if it's not overturned, are you running in October for a regional seat? And does this become a big part of your platform, your accusations of cronyism, nepotism, those kinds of things?
I mean, I don't know what I'll be running for in the October's municipal election. Certainly, I think that over the next 9 months, we need to highlight this issue of democracy and of cronyism, as was said. So yeah, that will definitely be a big part, I think, of the narrative over the next few months. But at this point, I just want to give a message to the electorate, which is just don't get discouraged by this. Let's take your outrage and turn it into engagement. Make your voice heard at the ballot box. Let's use this unfortunate situation as an opportunity to have the highest voter turnout we've ever had in a municipal election.